What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? Thank you so much again for tuning back in with us as we got part 2 now with one of our giveaway winners here, Alex Gunter. So if you haven't checked out part 1 yet, make sure to go click right up here and go check that out as we talked about football, talked a little bit about Alex's history with NC State and all that jazz. It's 4 state fans here just talking NC State stuff. So, I mean, if you haven't checked out part 1, go check it out. It's a lot of fun, so for any state fan to listen to. So, Alex, last time we talked about football, but now we're going to talk a little bit about basketball and athletics overall here. And so I know during the last episode, we were talking a little bit about basketball, that you had, one thing that you said is that basketball hasn't really established its identity yet, or in terms of has really established themselves, as an up and coming program yet. But one of the things I did want to ask is obviously over this past year, there's been a lot of big stuff that's gone on, especially just in the triangle with Roy Williams retiring and then Coach K announcing he's going to be retiring after the end of the season. So what were your first and original reactions? First of all, I got to ask it this way. What was your original reaction when you heard that Coach Williams and Coach K were retiring? What was your initial reaction?
Honestly, shocked. I thought more so that Coach K would have. I guess I kind of saw that. He just seemed he's had some health issues. With his back and everything like that. And I thought, all right, maybe he's gonna hang it up. He's got the most wins out of everybody. But Roy, I did not see that coming. That came out of left field. I was kind of shocked, but it's as much as as much as that guy drives me insane. I got to give respect. I mean, he whooped us, and he owned us, and I drives me nuts. But man, he did it. But am I glad he retired? Yep.
Yep.
I'm hoping it levels the playing field a little bit. But no, I mean, he's what, 70? Is that right? I mean, but the thing is, I thought he just signed a new deal like a couple years ago. Or he had a few more years on his contract. It wasn't like his contract is up. It's like, well, I'm stepping down.
I don't know.
But I know he's a huge golfer, and I think he wanted some time to just enjoy time with his wife and kids and just like hang out.
Yeah. Well, and with a guy like him, no matter what logistically he has or what logistically Carolina should do or whatever that is, then Roy Williams is going to do what Roy Williams wants to do. Why?
Right.
Because he is Roy Williams. I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time, and he has been for the last while. He has been UNC basketball. So, even if he did have a year left, you think UNC wouldn't let him retire if he wants to retire? And because let's be real too. I mean, he's still gonna be around the program. It's not like he's heading to Colorado and he's out of here. He'll still be around. I guarantee you. He'll still be showing faces, signing autographs. All that jazz, guaranteed. So, but I'm curious though on your thoughts though in terms of, because I mean it was very interesting to me about how Roy kind of did it quietly, where I mean he literally said on April Fool's Day that he's retiring, and all of a sudden out of nowhere. But then you got on the other side, you got Coach K, who said this is going to be my last season, and so now heading into the season that he's going out. So I mean, do you kind of respect one way more than the other? I mean, do you understand Coach K's reason for doing it, or do you kind of more respect the way that kind of Roy Williams did it?
I mean, honestly, I think it kind of fits their personalities, to be honest with you. I think Roy's kind of more of a, I'm just going to do what I want kind of guy. And if you don't like it, you can take it. Aw, shucks. You know what I'm saying? Where Coach K, I think, is a little more methodical in his thought process. And, he's not a fly by the seat of your pants kind of guy. He likes to have a plan. All right. When I retire, try and build a succession for who's going to come in, make sure his recruits and stuff, like, hey guys, it's going to be okay. I'm going to be here one more year. Don't worry about it. So I think there's a little more, he's a little more thought into it. Yeah. I'm not saying one way is right, one way is wrong. I just feel like for both of them, honestly, I just think it really fitted personalities both.
Yeah.
That's very well for how they did it.
Yeah. That's well said. Well said. And So, kind of now that we know that, obviously Hubert Davis is going to be the head coach at UNC,
Yep.
and then John Shire is going to be the head coach at Duke. I mean, I know that for all of us that we've said multiple times that we feel this is NC State's opportunity, and this is kind of one of the big
It
reasons
is.
why we got to kind of have to, hope and pray that Keats can, pull out, what we have seen the potential of him doing, but he just hasn't done yet. Because then we don't want to start over like the rest of them. We want to ride on hopefully on our experienced coach who's been here for some time building this program, to hopefully kind of, not necessarily take over, but just, kind of pull, in line with them, something like that, And so, what are your kind of overall thoughts of Keats so far? And then, what are your kind of overall thoughts of, the opportunity that Keats has, for the next, year or two, while Hubert and John Char kind of getting their footing figured out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. One, I think Keats. I mean, he has the tools, he has the resources, he has everything he needs to make this happen. And I think it's time to make it happen. I'm not saying he's done a bad job or anything like that. The ACC is tough. Playing in the triangle with Duke and UNC, 20 miles away each. I mean, that's hard. But I like his attitude. I like his charisma. He's a great recruiter. I think that the transfer portal makes it interesting for college basketball, and that I think he's really got the bad end of the deal on some transfers, and also just some players that we thought we had locked up that ended up going to the NBA. It is what it is. So we could say, "Oh, boo-hoo," like State, sorry, like we're getting the raw end of the deal. But it happens. It happens to every program. They're all going through this. But it's like, how do you deal with the adverse? How do you deal with that adversity and succeed? Well, it's good coaching. All right. So,
Yep.
I mean, he went from high school to coaching 2 years at UNCW and then coming here to NC State. So, I mean, his collegiate experience before he got here was uh, minimal, but again, he has a really good rapport with the kids. And looking ahead with the new coaches at Duke and Chapel Hill, I mean, the time is now. Seize the moment, seize the day. Let's do it. No more excuses. Let's win. Let's beat these guys.
Yep.
And make a name for ourselves.
Yep.
Yep.
Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need. Offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
Yeah. So I'm curious, so we're recording this on Wednesday, September 22nd, and we just got the announcement that we got a new commit to NC State's basketball. It's a 6'11" center named Sean Phillips from Michigan. And that's a big addition to the team for a center, because I know people kind of think Manny might be moving on at some point because he's starting to really, he's really done pretty well. And but I'm curious what you think Keats needs moving forward. What do you think that looks like?
I mean, for the longest time, I felt we had a cupboard full of shooting guards and had no height. It was kind of driving me nuts. But but again, he likes it fast paced, up and down the court. Tire out the other team. I like that. The college game. The NBA game has evolved so much to where the big guys are shooting threes. I think the college is kind of catching up to that with the big guys that are shooting, get more range in their jumpers, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just getting having a solid point and having some size down low. I mean, I feel like that's a recipe for success, because with a solid point and the big guy, both of those players are going to be drawing in defenders and then that's when you really rely on your wings to be able to kick it out. They're wide open, shoot the ball, goes in, and then you get the big guy picking up any rebounds.
Right.
And I think to me, I think that's the key into our success. You know, now and going forward.
Yeah.
I mean, I know every year we have people coming in and out, so it's going to change, but but yeah, that's what I think we need, and I'm really glad to see we got a big guy. I mean, I felt like we've been missing that. We had Bates for he's been great, but I mean, I felt like anytime whenever a big guy's got in foul trouble, it's like, well, who the hell are we going to put in now? What are we going to run 4 guards in the 4?
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, with the tallest guy being 6'6",
Yeah.
our center's going to be 6'6", and that's on paper 6'6".
Right.
So so I think that's been hurting us. So this commit, I think, is big news.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I feel like he's going to be utilized because Keats, more than a lot of coaches, just really hammers in the pick and roll offense.
Mhm.
He really does that, and to me, you need guys who can really handle the ball, but you need to be a center who's going to be able to play in that scheme. I haven't really watched a ton on Sean Phillips, it's the guy's name. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how that goes. And when you mentioned the depth chart, I was just kind of looking it up, and behind Manny Bates, you have you don't have a ton. You have Ebenezer Duana, who kind of had played a few minutes. You had Jalen Gibson, who kind of played a few minutes.
Okay.
This will be a guy who basically is going to come in once Manny Bates leaves. I think State's going to need to get a transfer center power forward to come in because you haven't Duana and Gibson have not really proven anything yet, in my opinion. They've shown some athleticism, but they're going to need somebody to come in because they've got guards. They've got Hayes. They got the new players coming in, Terquavian Smith. They've got I'm trying to think who else. Breon Pass.
Mhm.
They've got a bunch of guards, and I know Keats really likes that. And basketball is a shooter's game, but they're going to need to bring somebody in my opinion, that's going to be able to handle the post or stretch it out a little bit. I don't view Sean Phillips as a guy who's going to stretch it out a lot. I think he'll be a better rebounder than Manny's been, generally speaking, or at least coming into college. I think he has been, but that's what I think Keats really needs right now because he's got a lot of guards and support, but not a lot of depth in the the forward center position.
Agree 100%.
Yeah. And you meant
go ahead, Michael.
I was going to say, you mentioned earlier about the amount of transfers that are happening now, and I think Keats has an advantage there because he was at like Hargrave Military Academy, where players would come for a year or two and then leave, and that also definitely impacted why Coach K and Roy are retiring. So I think he has an advantage in that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one thing too, Alex, I think that has really kind of changed not only just college basketball but college sports in general over these past couple months or year or whenever it happened, was with these new transfer rules and how basically you can transfer anywhere and play immediately the next year. Because I think for if I'm Coach Dorn, if I'm Keats, if I'm whoever, I immediately change my recruiting strategy, my recruiting philosophy, because really now, because especially with basketball was famous for you would get recruits from, or you get transfers from like kind of the lower level schools that want to play on like a big stage that are really, really good. But now you can even get some guys from like probably like a Gonzaga or something like that, or whoever that would want to play in the ACC or whatever. And so I think that especially for basketball, where you don't really have as many guys that you're trying to fill spots with, I would go honestly pretty much mostly all transfers if I can help it. And then if there's a high school guy that I really, really like, that really fits my system, that I feel like I have a good shot on, that I want to go after, then I'll go after him. But because at the end of the day, you see it, especially with college basketball players, that even though you may have, and I bring up this example all the time, the Duke basketball team with Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett, and those guys, you have the most talented team, but yet at the end of the day, it still didn't click enough to win it all. which, for me, I think that speaks levels. Because, I mean, if you could have a guy who's already played, maybe Power 5 or ACC or whatever, or big time basketball for a couple years, but he just hasn't, gotten his full opportunity, or he wants more minutes, then he'll go somewhere else, like NC State, go play against UNC and Duke and stuff like that, and get his name out there. So, I mean, I guess I want to kind of get your thoughts on that. I mean, do you overall kind of agree with that? I mean, what are your kind of overall thoughts on these new philosophies and like the new NIL stuff as well? Like, there's just been so much that's been going on recently with college sports. It's unreal.
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in real quick. I mean, I think it's evolved, as you said, a lot, and it's constantly changing. I think we have to keep a pulse on the transfers. I definitely feel like recruiting out of high school is still, bread and butter to success of a program. However, being cognizant of, players at other schools who are not getting the minutes or frustrated with the coaching style that would be a good fit to our program. I mean, bring them on. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And to your point, they already have experience at a big school, and they're not going to be afraid to step in the spotlight. So let's do it.
Yeah. Or they've been at a lower level school for like, let's say 3 years or whatever. And now it's their senior year and they want to go play somewhere big. So, I mean, it's just, again, it's as if it wasn't already frustrating. I felt frustrated for guys like Coach K, where, you would recruit these guys, these big 5-star guys for like 3-4 years, and they only play for you for 8 months and they're gone.
Yep.
And so now not only would they might leave just to go to the NBA, but they might leave just because they're not getting the minutes or something like that. So it's like, geez, like, these guys can't win for losing, like, so, so now kind of jumping into kind of NC State athletics overall. So besides football and men's basketball, are there any other sports at NC State that you would say you follow?
Bass fishing.
Hey.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
We've won some national championships in bass fishing.
We're pretty good at that.
Sure.
Heard that.
Yeah. Baseball. God, man, I don't even want to. I could talk for 5 episodes with you guys about this past what happened.
Yeah. We did talk for 5 episodes about this. Feel like.
Yeah, I know. I went back and watched a couple. I didn't realize it 5 of them. Well, damn.
No, I was probably was a joke, but it felt like a lot. We were very heated about it.
We talked about a lot.
Oh man, I tell you what, I had. Anyway, baseball is awesome. I love watching college baseball, almost more than Major League. I mean, I think there's just, it's college sports. I think it's awesome. As far as following, that's probably the biggest thing I follow other than basketball and football. I mean, I keep track of the women's basketball program. I think they're fun to watch. Coach Moore's awesome. If you asked me 10 years ago if I'd be interested in following women's basketball, not really. But I don't know, maybe because I've gotten older. I don't know, maybe because they're good. Whatever the reason may be, I'm interested. So it's just nice to see, anytime one of our athletic programs at State is in the spotlight and doing good, it overflows and spreads into the other athletic, the other programs as well. So I'm all for it, and I'll watch and pull for any program at State.
Yeah. Well, because one thing too that I knew was perfectly clear back when, because before Coach Moore they had Kelly Harper, who now is the head coach at Tennessee, ironically enough, and you knew that when Debbie Yao came on, because basically she came on maybe like, let's say, with a couple years left, Kelly Harper's last couple years, you knew that with Debbie Yao being Debbie Yao and her sister being Kay Yao, that, I mean, women's basketball has a special place in her heart for sure. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's the last thing that she's going to do, being an athletic director, is let, this sport and this team that basically her sister, I mean, really grew from the ground up, not be what it should be. Because, I mean, there's a name with NC State women's basketball, just like there's a name with NC State men's basketball because of KL. Right. And so, for her to bring on a guy like Westmore, who, and, immediately hit the ground running and has built on top of that every single year. Like, he came, I think, his first two years or whatever, and he was pretty dominant and made it to NCAA tournament, did well. And then every single year he's gotten better and better and better. And I mean, now looking at this year, you're like, God, this team. I mean, not only is it probably going to win ACC title, it's probably going to win a national title, which is crazy to think about because State's never won a national title in women's basketball. So,
and I'll add this too. What's also cool about it is that he was an assistant a long time ago. So it was like he's kind of like coming back full circle. I mean, he was here from 93 to 95 and was, I mean, it's just kind of neat when he sees guys here, goes away, comes back, and just lets the program blossom. It's kind of like the whole, I know Carolina and Duke like the phrase of quote unquote keeping it in the family, but that kind of what this kind of feels like. He kind of kept it in the family a little bit.
Yeah. And one thing I like about watching the women is that they, especially last year, never felt like they were out of a game. Like they had multiple games last year. They come back from 20 points down.
Yep.
And, you know, that's something we have rarely seen with the men. But so, yeah, it was entertaining to watch that last year.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's fun. And I mean, so, you know, so, I mean, I guess, Alex, you know, one of the things I do got to push for you is, I mean, especially NC State wrestling. You know, I don't know if you've ever checked out wrestling yet, but I know for me, that's, yeah.
No, I follow it. I don't, you know, it's. I'd say being in Charlotte, if it's not on TV, it's hard to follow. But no, I mean, I know our program for wrestling is awesome. I mean, year in and year out. I mean, I've watched videos online, you know, usually after the fact. But man, our wrestling program is the best in the country.
Yeah.
And they're a lot of fun to watch. Yeah. And golly, man, we got our, you know, fans in the stands. I mean, it's a ruckus crowd in there, you know?
It is.
Yeah. I remember when I was a student that it was, I've said this a few times, we had Coach Hall on one of the first few episodes we did when we started doing this podcast thing. And, you know, I was like, man, I remember, and I know Leighton does, and I'm sure Michael does. I don't know if Michael went to a bunch of matches. I haven't talked to him about it, but
no, I've never been to a single wrestling match.
Okay. So you need to go to one.
Yeah, I do.
But my whole point was back before Reynolds was renovated and right when Coach Pop was hired, I mean, they would take the big red curtain and cut and basically slice the Reynolds into like one portion where it would curve on the one side near the main entrance. They would just kind of wall it off, put the mat down, and there'd be like 20 people there to watch the match plus the actual team.
Yep.
Now it's fully renovated. The whole thing's packed, and it's one of the premier wrestling programs in the country. It's insane what Popalizio and Debbie Al at the time just built for them. I mean, and women's basketball, that whole renovation and what Pop and Westmore, they're two special generational kind of coaches to me.
Yep. But so you know, but definitely again, I mean, I know for us, we've said that, you know, Debbie Al did an amazing job with not only wrestling, not only women's basketball, but like, you know, swimming and diving. I mean, bringing on Coach Holloway was huge, and you know, I mean, just even with softball, and I mean, like the athletics overall, it's a great time to be an NC State fan because you're good at a lot of things. Not necessarily great, which is frustrating, but I feel like with a lot of programs, you're heading in the right direction. With most of them, which is great. But so we don't have too much time left, Alex. So I wanted to kind of ask you first of all. So if you had to pick, what would you say is your favorite place on campus?
Oh wow! I think it was getting lost in Harrelson Hall. Nah,
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Nah, I mean, you know, honestly, like I think back to my freshman year, and just I was in Tucker, and just honestly, just going through the freedom of expression tunnel, going through that, checking out, and coming up the stairs, you're right there in the brickyard, and kind of looking around, you're seeing all the people. I mean, that's probably. I mean, I have that like image, like just kind of ingrained in my brain because I feel like I did it so many times.
Yeah.
And I'd always run into people in the brickyard. I mean, that was everyone met up. You know, I think that's. I remember when I toured the school, I was like, good grief, look at all these bricks. But you know, it's
Yeah.
but it's cool. I mean, it's a happening spot, and you know, I think that's for me, just that part of campus,
The heart
is
of campus,
awesome.
essentially.
And I think an underrated part of campus is if you go to the you know, the East Campus, like, you know, all the Court of Carolinas with all the trees and stuff. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Over there.
Oh, it's amazing.
I didn't spend enough time over there as I should have, but it's a really cool spot just to kind of go and relax and just kind of check it out. But
Have you been able to check out Hunt Library?
I have.
Yeah.
I actually went there, visited a buddy. When I went up for a football game, and a friend of mine I was staying with, he lived in Raleigh. He's like, "This is gonna sound ridiculous, but I'm gonna take you to the library." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You don't. I know it sounds crazy, but we're gonna go check it out."
I'm about to blow your mind with some books, man.
Yeah, and I was like, "All right," and he took me in there, and man, yeah, I was blown away.
It's
I was
insane.
like, "Thank you for taking me." That was insane. What all it's just it's unexplainable to someone.
Yep.
I've tried to explain it.
Yeah.
And they're like, it doesn't make any sense.
Just
I'm
go.
like, I
Just
don't
go
even watch
see
a
it.
video or go see it in person.
Yeah.
Well, because for those who don't know either, who are listening in, Hunt Library, if you haven't checked it out yet, and if you haven't heard this yet, there was an article released. It was a while ago, but it was basically like a rankings of, you know, the top university libraries in the world, and Hunt Library was top 10 in the world.
Yeah.
And it was
Don't
top,
doubt it.
it was top 3 in the country in terms of university libraries.
Yeah, I remember that article.
So if anybody who's listening or checking this out has not gone to check it out, it is breathtaking. And it's, I mean, for me, I think it's honestly a big thing that makes me really proud. And I think really shows off NC State, because at the end of the day, we are, you know, engineering school, and you look around that, and also too, we're in art school too, because I mean, you know, our design program is top notch, and I think that you see both of those in that library, heads and tails. I mean, just over and over again. So it's beautiful. But well, thank you so much again, Alex, for joining us. Really do appreciate it, and you know, congrats again, and definitely
Thanks, man.
hope to see you in person at, you know, some NC State events here soon, whenever you come into town. So
Oh yeah, I'll definitely give you all a heads up, man. I really enjoyed it. This is quite an experience.
well,
Cool.
Well, glad you enjoyed it. So thank you all so much again. Really do appreciate it. Please make sure, again, if you haven't already, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps support us in the channel. Hey, it's free to do, so why not? And follow us at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter or Instagram, and also check out all of our great NC State content. And thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, go Pack, y'all.